I'm Jeff. I'm the Executive Director of the Historic Masonic Theatre, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you here for this exciting day, not only to unveil the marker, but to open our inaugural season at the Masonic Theatre as well. So thank you for being here, and thank you to our distinguished panel of speakers for joining us today. I'll get out of the way and get started with the speechifying, because that's the best part. I want to bring up to the podium here the mayor of Clifton Forge, our good friend, Mayor Carl Brinkley. Carl.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. At least we have no rain falling on us, even though we need it. I would like to welcome everybody on behalf of the town council and our town manager. I appreciate all of you coming out today. One thing we want to do is get this thing off tonight on a positive start, and I certainly hope we are going to be able to do that with the folks we have here to entertain us tonight. Let's hope that the Hope Diamond brings hope to all of us. One other item I want to bring up is I want to state our appreciation for what the Public Works Department has done in the establishment of the sign they put in the ground over here for us. We all owe them a debt of gratitude. They work hard for us, and Earl Labonte is doing the job of directing me in the right direction, I think. I'm glad to see all of y'all out, and I hope that y'all will enjoy the evening with us for the nice entertainment. Thank you very much.
Let me bring up to the podium now Randy Johnson. Randy Jones. My apologies, Randy. We're just like that. We met 2 minutes ago, so we're fabulous. You can call me Tommy if you want to. Public Information Officer, DHR, Mr. Jones.
Thank you. As they say, call me anything but late for dinner. So, listen, this is a great day. Thank you so much for inviting us to participate in this occasion. I'm, as they say, the Public Information Officer with the Department of Historic Resources, and I live in Harrisonburg, so I didn't have too far a drive to get over here today. I want to thank the Masonic Theatre Preservation Foundation for its great work both in the restoration of the theater and getting that going, as well as for the marker, which is a great occasion too. Virginia, I don't know if you know this, but Virginia has the oldest state historical marker program in the nation. It'll be 90 years old tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, next year. And the first markers were erected in 1927 along Route 1 coming into between Fredericksburg and DC. But the program is just a great program. I think the markers are probably one of the most iconic things you'll see on the roadways in Virginia. They're probably about as well known as a Coca-Cola bottle in some regards, and probably about as old in terms of being designed. The marker program began as an educational program, and it really to help support heritage tourism because it tells the stories of Virginia's many, many historic stories, and it's just a great program for doing that, to help people understand local history. And the history, for a marker to be approved as a state marker, it has to reach a regional, state, or national significance. So we get lots of marker applications every year, but we only approve maybe 20 to 30 every year. So this is quite an honor to have this happen. In 1976, this General Assembly stopped funding markers, and at that time the program had to rely upon sponsors paying for their markers. So the program is actually, since 1976, in many ways, it's actually flourished without state funding because there's a lot of investment and a lot of interest at the local communities in people wanting to make their history better known. The application process, as many of you know who worked on it, I think John, you said, the application process is very rigorous. The markers have to be vetted. Everything has to be documented to make sure it's historically accurate. And you have to tell that story in about 100 words. I used to teach English, and it's a great It's a great exercise to get people to say something important about something historical and do it in 100 words. And it takes a little bit of back and forth between the editorial committee before it's presented to the Board of Historic Resources, which is a governor-appointed board, and that's the board that has to approve the marker. This marker was approved earlier this year by the Board of Historic Resources. The marker program would not exist without you folks, without community support. Preservation, by and large, doesn't survive without community support. That's one of the strengths of preservation, is because it's grassroots driven, it's not top down. So that's a terrific thing. I want to thank again the Masonic Theatre Preservation Foundation, which applied and paid for the marker. I want to thank John Strott for his work and Gail Hillert for her work on working closely with our marker program historian and coordinator. And thanks again to the Clifton Forge Public Works, as mentioned earlier, for installing it. We appreciate the commitment of everybody who's involved in this program. And on behalf of the Commonwealth of Virginia, the Governor, the Secretary of Natural Resources, and the Director of the Department of Historic Resources, I want to congratulate you on this fabulous occasion. And I think you all deserve a round of applause for yourselves for getting it done. Good job. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this.
Now, I want to bring to the mic Mead Snyder, who in your programs today says it's president, but he's been waiting a long time for me to announce to you that he's the immediate past president of the Masonic Theatre Preservation Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, Mead Snyder.
Have a nice ring to it. First of all, I want to thank Randy for coming out today, being part of the ceremony and the historical marker program. It's great to have that recognition here. And also, Randy's with the Virginia Department of Historic Resources, which administers the Virginia Historic Tax Credit Program, which is a major funding piece that enabled this renovation to take place. So I want to also thank you all for that. As Randy mentioned, today is a fabulous occasion. It marks the recognition of what is the oldest, longest operating theater in the entire state of Virginia. And when you think about it, I personally think that's pretty darn amazing. You know, Virginia's 95 counties, 76 of them were founded prior to Allegheny County in 1822. There's an awful lot of old places in Virginia going back to the 1600s, 1700s, but the oldest, longest operating theater is right here in Clifton Forge, which I think is a pretty amazing thing. And so you ask yourself, or at least I do, why is it here in Clifton Forge? And I think it all goes back to the community that, I guess, had the vision back in 1904, 1905 to found it, to build it, an opera house here out in the Allegheny Mountains. The community that over the past few generations has sustained it, showing up at the ticket booth and taken a date there, having memories there, and now the community of our generation that has taken on the tougher task almost of saving it. You know, a building that was on the verge of slipping into ruin. We gathered the community. Folks have great memories of this theater. We have the support of individuals throughout the community. And I'm not talking about just Clifton Forge, I'm talking about the entire Allegheny Highlands and beyond. The business community rose up and supported this revitalization effort. And all of that enabled us to bring in some additional funding through the historic tax credits, grant funding through the Allegheny Foundation is our primary funding grant source, as well as some other grant foundations. So all of that came together to put this project to fruition. So again, it was born out of the community, sustained by the community, and again revitalized by the community here in 2016, which I think is very special. So with that, I also want to recognize today, John Strott. John did an awful lot of research, digging through some pretty old, moldy documents that we found, original source documents from 1905. And he did a lot of work putting this application together and has been a big support to our project. So I want everybody to give a big hand for John Strott. In a minute, I'm going to turn it over to John to unveil the marker, but before doing so, I just thought we'd read off a few of the names that have come through this theater over the years. It began with operettas from New York City. The first one was the Sultan of Sulu. It quickly moved to vaudeville shows. We had political speakers. William Jennings Bryan in 1908, during his campaign for the presidency, was here. Lots of Western stars, Lash LaRue, Tex Ritter, Gene Autry, and we also had movie stars that probably mean a little more to some of you all. Robert Blake, Ziva Rodan, and then some famous animals as well. White Flash, which is Tex Ritter's horse, which went in the theater. And then Cheetah from Tarzan, which also went for a little romp inside the theater. And then also the Count Basie Orchestra and the original Drifters. So that's just a few of the big names that have come through these doors. So the other thing I do want to mention is we do have a kind of selective history book that you can purchase inside when you come to the show tonight. I hope everybody's coming to the show, which captures not only some of the historic events that I've just mentioned, but also a lot of the collection of memories that folks have had in this theater. And it's pretty meaningful, and you ought to check it out. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to John Strott and let John do the unveiling.
Thank you. I hadn't planned on saying anything at the ceremony, and I don't often get a chance to speak in public, and I see my wife is already cringing. So there's already enough hot air out here. I'll go ahead and I got the magic tool to unveil.
Here we go.